Steve Kerr is brought to you by the Next Generation 10G Network, only from Xfinity. The future starts now. Your opportunity to win your way into Game 5 comes a little bit later on this hour after we visit with the head coach of the Warriors, Steve Kerr, who joins us now on Willard and Dibs. Good evening, Coach. How you doing?
Good evening. How are you guys?
Yeah, we're hanging in there, obviously working our way through a lot of questions and frustrated fans after the development of last night. I know no surprise to you. Why don't we start with this? Because a lot of people are wondering about the vibe in the locker room. And we know, for instance, some reports that Jordan Poole, for example, was pretty frustrated by his locker last night. How would you describe the mental state of the team after last night's game?
Well, everybody's frustrated because we lost. I mean, that's just the way it works. You know, these guys put so much into this and really did, I thought, everything to win the game last night. We just didn't close it out. And so there was frustration for all of us, coaches and players alike. And you know, anytime you have a tough game individually, and I was there many times, you know, as a player in my career, it's really difficult after a playoff game. You're down, you're frustrated, so that's all totally normal.
With a quick turnaround, what's the process to go from the frustration and the disappointment to reviewing the tape and being able to put that behind you like you have before down 3-1?
Yeah, that's what today has been about. You know, I think the post hours after a game like that are so difficult. You know, you get on the plane, you watch the tape, and you're just, you know, everybody's looking at stuff. We could have done better, could have done this, could have done that. And but the frustration of losing just lingers. And then today is all about, you know, filling up the cup and recharging the battery, whatever metaphor you want to use. And so we got together and we watched some tape and we met as a team. And I think our guys are really excited about the challenge now. You know, let's go get a win tomorrow and let's flip the momentum in this thing and see what we can do.
Coach, when you talk about getting everybody together to watch the tape, what is said at the portion of the tape where Gary Payton II leaves the floor? I'm actually curious here why we never ended up. No one last night got like a firm, hey, what happened? Can you share with us what happened? Was he okay?
When he left 5-6 minutes into the game?
Yeah, when he left in the middle of the play and left the floor, it looked like maybe he was having some stomach issues or something. What was going on?
Yeah, he felt sick, and so he left the floor to go back to the locker room and you know, felt better after that. They saw the trainer helped him out, and then he came back in the game a little while later.
Draymond looked a little sick when he realized he had passed a perfect pass to Phil Handy on the bench. That was a little bit of a curious moment.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's exactly where he expected Gary to be, obviously, but you know, Gary had exited stage right.
Did that play into why you went so heavily with Moses in the fourth quarter? Because it looked like Gary had some good minutes in the third, and then about 2 minutes or so into the fourth, you went Moses the rest of the way.
Yeah, you know, they got off to that 7-0 start to start the fourth quarter, and Moses had been playing well, and he gives us a little more spacing, you know, than Gary does. Gary's great and can make a shot from the corner, and but we get a little more size from Moses. Both guys played really well, but when they got off to that quick start in the fourth quarter, we decided to change the pieces around a little bit and give Moses a chance. And Moses went in, made some really big plays for us. And, you know, that's one of those, you know, at the end of the game afterwards, you know, I'm looking at the game saying, well, maybe I could have gone to Gary here. But staying with Moses was what we decided on because he was playing well and we felt good about it. And either guy, I think, would have been a good option at that point.
Steve Kerr with us here on Willard and Dibs. Coach, obviously the adjustment to go heavy on the pick and roll with Steph Curry in the first half was working beautifully, and you did a lot less of it in the second half. Why did you guys choose to go away from that?
Well, if you remember in the third quarter, we got loose in transition and scored 32 points in that quarter. they changed their matchups at halftime. They decided to shift Anthony Davis from Peyton over to Wiggins, and so that changes the dynamics of the pick and roll. And so we started going a little bit more with our off-ball stuff. Got some backdoor layups. Got some good rhythm offensively in that third quarter. It was the fourth quarter that really hurt us. That's where we scored 17, and we were going almost exclusively pick and roll in the fourth. But give them credit; they play great defense. Davis is really tough when he's in that paint. Thwarting shots there and presenting an obstacle for our guys. And there were definitely a few things that I saw on tape that I could have done differently and that we can do differently tomorrow. But that's what every game's about. You adapt and adjust.
One thing that will be different will be the venue. Steph Curry doesn't seem to shoot well at Crypto or Staples or whatever they're calling it these days. 31 points on 30 attempts. Is that something that he's verbalized, or is it just a curiosity of a venue?
I've never talked to him about it, and I didn't even really know that was much of a thing. I mean, I remember a few years ago he had a couple of tough nights there. So he's had some games there where he hasn't shot well, but he's also had some big nights there. So I'm not too worried about that.
Coach, speaking of things you're worried about, it felt like before the game the media was just kind of playful about your starting lineup change, ending up on Twitter, courtesy of Shams, and just in watching you, I was like, you didn't seem very playful about it. Was that upsetting to you?
Yeah, you never like your business out there in public. Stuff that you're trying to keep in house. When it makes it out before the game even, is 2 hours away, when the starting lineup is announced on Twitter by someone not affiliated with the team, it not the greatest feeling as a coach. But welcome to 2023. I mean, it's really, really hard to keep anything under wraps.
Well, can I ask, why is it hard? Like, how does that happen?
I don't know. If I had an answer for you, I would tell you, but I have no idea.
Well, if you want to get tomorrow's lineup out, you can just call us. And Steve, you know me, Steve. I mean, I'm here. Mark and I are here for you, Steve.
Very nice of you guys.
Yeah, open-ended question, Coach. What's the lineup tomorrow night? Go ahead. Your floor.
Your thoughts.
Yes, right.
Yeah. I guess from the lighthearted to the slightly heavier, which is the questions about Jordan Poole. Can't help but notice that his minutes are now down to 10, and he got just a couple of minutes in the third quarter. Is it a confidence thing with Jordan right now? Is it a matchup situation? Where are we at with Jordan Poole in terms of his ability to impact the series?
No, last night was more about Moses and Gary. I mean, both guys were playing so well that we just stayed with them. I thought Jordan did some nice things offensively. He was under control. He penetrated. He got the ball swung into good spots. He had a couple of good looks. I think he had the one play in the second half where the ball kind of slipped out of his hands, as he went up for the shot. But for the most part, offensively, he was getting where he needed to go, and I think he was playing fine. It's just that we had other guys who were playing well, and we had a good game going with those guys, so we just stayed with them.
Coach, you may know this, but on the television broadcast, on one of the mic'd up visits you had with your team, you were heard saying, don't do the hero ball. And then in the final couple minutes of the game, it certainly appeared that there was a lot of hero ball. So what were your thoughts on the shot selection down the stretch, and how is that something that you could adjust?
Well, I thought there were a few points in the game where we were trying to do it a little too quickly on our own, where maybe we could have penetrated and kicked and got a better look. But you have to understand too. I mean, these guys are aggressive, and if they're open, they want to let it fly, and we don't want to take that away from them. We want them aggressive, so it's always a balance. And late in the game, when teams are switching and there's not a whole lot going on, you look around the NBA, it's generally going to be a kind of a one-on-one battle down the stretch. It's the way it is, especially, you saw us try to run some off-ball stuff, and the Lakers were flopping on every screen, and we get called for, several offensive fouls on those, and it makes it tough when you're not able to get some of that stuff. You have to sort of rely on pick and roll and isolation.
Let's elaborate on that, because Mark and I were breaking down the film, and I thought the Moses moving screen might have been a moving screen, but the other two, the Draymond one, when Lonnie Walker wound up in the fifth row with just a simple nudge. How do you, in-game and obviously after the game, try to send that message to the league office that these guys are from Hollywood and they're looking for Oscars?
Right. That's there's a process. The league does a really good job of that. You can send clips in to the league, and they'll look at them and they'll respond and let you know what their answer is. So we sent some stuff in today, just like the Lakers sent stuff in the previous game, and most teams usually send clips in and let the league know what they think is happening out there. And in this particular case, I think the Lakers are smart. They got a lot of gamesmanship, and they're running into the screens. And the Walker one with about 3 minutes left was just a complete dive.
Yep.
And he was laughing as he got up because he knew he got away with it. And it's frustrating when that happens because I don't think guys should be rewarded for flopping, but at the same time, you got to do what you got to do to win the game. And so I respect the fact that those guys are doing whatever it takes to try to get a call, and they got a few of them last night.
Yeah, Coach, you know what? I mean, I've been saying a lot on our show today about some of these very moments that you're talking about. It's very frustrating as a viewer, and I mean this not just about last night. In general in the NBA, when guys are falling down when they're barely touched, would you be an advocate for something that's I don't know, a little bit more formal? A few years ago, they were going to fine guys for this. Feels like they've gone away from it. Is there something more the league can do about this?
Oh, 100%. Because I've seen it in FIBA when I coached in the Olympics and the World Cup over the last few summers. What FIBA does is the referee has the ability to call a flop. And if he sees a flop, he calls it, and it's a technical foul. Couple free throws on the ball. It's very penalizing, and the result in FIBA is that the players just don't do it. And I think there's a feeling in the league amongst a lot of coaches and executives that it's something that's much needed in the NBA. I mean, you guys see it. That most of the regular season is just about players trying to fool refs to get to the line, and then. When it happens in the playoffs, it's usually less frequent because the refs are less likely to call some of that stuff. But still, stuff still gets through, and the remedy is right there for us if we want to go that route as a league. We just do what FIBA did, and penalize guys for flopping, and they won't do it anymore.
One more on the refs, Steve. I don't want to dwell on Scott Foster and the fellas, but are you in favor of more calls being reviewed, or are you more, thinking in terms of let's let the three guys out there just settle it and we'll move on from there?
I'm an advocate for almost zero replay, to be honest with you. I don't like it. I don't think it's great for the fans to sit through everything. And it's not like you get everything right with replay anyway. So many calls are ambiguous. There's such a gray area. There's going to be calls that go one way or the other. And I want to be clear. This series is right where it should be. It should be 3-1 Lakers. The officials haven't determined wins and losses. The guys on the floor have. So this is not about anything other than kind of the process that the league goes through. And if you ask me, less replay is better. Both teams are going to get some tough calls, but the reality is even right now with replay, both teams get frustrated and stuff goes both directions.
Steve Kerr with us here on Willard and Dibs, 95.7 The Game, and we've got 2 tickets to tomorrow night's game that we're going to be giving away shortly after our conversation. Make sure you stay tuned for that. Steve, I know anytime this game happens, even in the regular season, Klay gets a lot of attention, right? His dad, his upbringing. Do you sense, especially down the stretch last night, what do you see? Does he want it maybe a little bit too much? What do you see in your eyes with that shot selection?
Well, I think the Lakers are doing a good job of just crowding him at every opportunity, and they've made him a priority. Just trying to keep him from getting loose. He had that huge game 2, and the last 2 games they've done a really good job defensively. So he's a huge key for us, and we've got to do a better job of trying to free him up tomorrow.
Does that also kind of lead to the end of game sequence where it looked like Klay might have taken an off balance 3 and he might have pulled the trigger on one from 28 feet? Do you as a coach have to just kind of live with Klay's shot selection based on the great body of work he's built?
100%. He's going to take some bad ones, and so is Steph, and that's okay. It's ideally you want guys taking good shots every time down the floor, but when Klay had 38 in Oklahoma City in Game 6, a lot of those were really bad shots, and he made them, and that's the only reason we won. So, what you get from Klay is the swashbuckling attitude, the aggressiveness, the confidence, and part of that package is some bad shots, and that's okay. You live with that.
Steve, my partner here, Dibs, the other day was literally pumping his fist when you said a game is not a must-win with this group until it's an elimination game. But now, obviously, we're here, and this has been so great. This run with you guys has been obviously the greatest thing this organization has ever known. So I don't even like asking this question, but I will. Has it crossed your mind that tomorrow night could be your last game coaching the Big Three?
No, never crossed my mind. I played on those Bulls teams, the Last Dance, and I can tell you from experience, even though everybody now says, well, why didn't they keep that team together? That team was done. That team was finished emotionally, mentally. There was nothing left in the tank. And I don't feel that way about this team at all. I think these guys, Steph, Klay, Draymond, they've got lots to give for years to come. So I never even have stopped to give that a second thought.
How much in the tank short term? With Steph coming off of 42 minutes, Klay played 41, Draymond plays so hard for 37, even Wiggins played almost 40 minutes. Do you feel like there's enough adrenaline and enough freshness for them to ramp it up 1, if not 2, and can we hope 3 more times, Coach?
For sure. I mean, this is it's not sustainable over 82 games, obviously. But when the playoffs come, these guys are in incredible shape, and we make sure every second spent between games is spent preparing for the next one, taking care of their bodies, getting off their feet. So these guys are resting today, and we won't have a shoot-around tomorrow morning. So they'll have a good 48 hours in between games, and by the time Game 5 starts tomorrow, they'll have all the energy they need.
Coach, just listening to you talk about tomorrow night, it brings up something you said back at the beginning of the conversation. You used the word excitement, that the guys, after watching film today, had an excitement about them, about what they're going to try to do for the rest of this week. Could you speak a little bit more to that? Like, what'd you notice with their demeanor?
Well, I mean, what an opportunity, to be here where we are, to have a chance to go win a playoff game tomorrow night, shift the momentum like we know happens. Having been in this for a decade now, our guys get it. I mean, one game changes everything. And they've done this before. We've come back from 3-1 down against OKC. We won in Toronto a few years ago to force a Game 6, and to this day, I think all our guys would tell you we would have forced a Game 7 if Klay hadn't suffered the torn ACL. So I think our guys cherish this opportunity, and they're excited about it. And the disappointment of losing Game 4, it takes some time. But it's kind of a, I don't know, 12-hour thing. You wake up the next day and you slowly kind of start turning the page, and by the time the game starts tomorrow, our guys they'll be fired up and ready.
Well, I'm speaking on behalf of the fan base, and I think we need a full 24 hours, Steve, because many of us are still having a hard time picking through that. But, man, good luck. And the Nuggets came back from 2 3-1 deficits in the bubble. You would be the first team to do it twice, though, outside the bubble. So if the guys need a little pick-me-up, there's that factoid.
All right, I'll let them know.
All right, perfect. Hey, Coach, thank you as always.
Yeah.
And we're looking forward to tomorrow night. Thanks, Coach.
All right, thanks, fellas.
All right, there he is. Steve
Thanks.
Kerr. Yeah, exactly. Get a little thanks.